Here we're given a diagram to the right, and we're given the magnitude, which is 10. We see like the length of this line, and the direction, which is 30 degrees from 0 of a vector. How can you determine the components of the vector and then state the components of the vector? So first of all, we know we are going to have a right triangle when we deal with vectors because the components are always straight horizontal and straight vertical, which when you put those together always gives us this right angle here. So with the right triangle, I don't need law of sines or law of cosines. All I need is SOHCAHTOA. So in this case here, I'm going to call my vertical component V, my horizontal component H. And when I solve for these things, I'm just going to use sine or cosine because I have the hypotenuse here, which is 10, and I have the angle here, which is 30. So if I were to try and solve for the vertical component, I would just use sine because sine of an angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So if I were to multiply 10 on both sides, I get sine of 30 is equal to my vertical component, which in this case, if you plug it into a calculator, you get 5. The second one, if I'm looking for the horizontal component, same idea, except I'm going to use cosine because I know cosine of an angle is equal to the adjacent side, which is the horizontal component, over the hypotenuse. Multiply 10 to the other side. 10 cosine of 30 is equal to my horizontal. Now, sometimes I don't like using h because it gets confusing because we use the letter h for so many things like height or hypotenuse or horizontal, but just know it's a letter and I'm using it to represent a specific side, in this case, the horizontal component. So once we plug that into a calculator, we could also see that it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle and call it 5 root 3. But again, I'm just going to, for consistency's sake, plug it into a calculator here, making sure my calculator is in degrees. And it gives me about 8.66 for my horizontal component there. Again, if it asked for the exact values, then I would use what I know about 30, 60, 90. But for now, I'm going to call this good. So if I was going to write my components out, horizontal first, 8.66, vertical second, and there's the components of this vector.